Hi, welcome to hell. I'm your sorry. Props. I feel like Carrot Top. Um,
If only everyone was in the backstage.
I gotta tell you, I love the. Is that a Doctor Who cup? Is that the artist?
Whew. Whew. Yep, absolutely.
Nerds,
I know.
nerds, love it.
I know. My babies. I swear I
You
can have
know,
like I think I have like a coffee cup for every single day of the year.
I gotta tell you, when I was a youngster, nerds were not considered cool,
Nope.
and but now nerds kind of rule the world, and
Mm,
yeah, so. Now, we were hated for a reason back then. Like poor nerds were hated, now rich nerds are hated.
yep.
So some things never change,
Yep. I had to hide my
right?
nerdness. I couldn't let a lot of people know. I had to, pretend to be cool, but, go home and play my video games and read comic books. But now I just tell everybody I read comic books. Fuck yeah. People are like, "Oh, did you see the new comic book movie?" And I'm like, "I read that thing like years ago. You're good. I'm good. I know it."
You should do the actually
Oh,
in series 9, episode 4. Star Trek had a crossover with Star Wars, and it was awesome.
it was awesome.
Got
I love it.
got to get that in there because
Why are you not a voice actor?
actually, I used to do voiceovers, but it was like local, like TV and
Okay.
radio, uh, but nothing like I wanted to do like cartoons and stuff, be like a cartoon actor. That's
Yeah.
great. You could just show up like dress like whatever, and because it didn't matter what you looked like, they just wanted the voice. So
Yep.
if you ever get a chance, those in the audience who are watching this, go look at those behind the scenes videos about voice actors and what they look like. It look like they just rolled out of bed. It's
They
great.
do. Yep.
Mm.
I know. I'm jealous. I want to be a voice actor. That'd be so much fun.
You have a great voice. You should totally do it.
You
You do you
too.
have a favorite character voice you do?
Um, the only one I've ever actually practiced and memorized was I can do the sound of Blue from Blue's Clues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Bow, 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 bow. I know it's so
that's that's what
pathetic.
that's what he sounds like. Boo, 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 boo.
Bow,
Is
bow, bow,
that it?
bow. Yep. Bow, bow. Yep.
Okay.
I know. That was his sound, his little dog bark. Yeah. And scene. Thank you. Thank you.
That's easy money.
I know.
You know.
I know. And I could have been hanging
Jimmy,
out with, like Steve from Blue's Clues. Like that would have been my dream job. Absolutely. That would have been great.
right?
I'd probably end up doing
Um,
drugs with him though.
wait a minute.
There
Hi.
we go. Yeah. Back to
I'm
Wednesday.
I'm Steve from Blues. I'm Steve from Blues Clues. Uh, all right. We have folks that are actually watching today. It's very appreciative of that. Daniel is here. Uh, here's the mail. It never. Oh, wait a minute. Is this from Blues? That's it
Yes.
from Blues Clues.
Oh, here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. Never heard that song? When it comes, I want to wail. Mail. Oh, God, I'm such a millennial.
I just remember like cartoons from the 80s and like GI Joe and Thundar and He-Man and all that stuff.
Yeah, all
Um
those guys in tight, stretchy nylons and spandex undies. Yeah.
where do you think I get my fashion ideas from, Jimmy?
Ooh, that's right. You wear the tidy whities. I love it.
That's right.
Oh,
Uh
good morning,
yeah, so
Amber. I see Amber in there. Yay! I never see Amber. I love you, Amber.
oh, how you doing? Kay's here too.
Yep, and Dolores.
Dolores.
Yep,
Oh, Dolores. She's a sweetheart.
yep.
She's just a little angel sent from heaven, she is.
Yeah, she was
Um,
working her little
I,
tail off yesterday. We were trying to send out all the tweets to get her to share everywhere. By half of the day, I'm like, wow, yeah, no, I totally understand, Dolores. The sharing stuff is hard.
she said, yeah, I know. I've been off of Facebook for a while, but now I'm starting to get back on there to do like a little more promotional stuff. And I see Dolores on there. And I've been seeing her like sharing stuff on Twitter, and she's just amazing.
Yeah.
Fred Edward too. He does a lot of sharing. He's always trying to share out that independent media goodness to everybody. So Holly's here too. Hey Holly. Holly's one of my buddies. I like
Hi,
Holly. She's a
Holly.
sweetheart.
Mhm.
Um so, but yeah, how you doing? Everything
Oh,
good?
Amber's
You all
on her
right?
way to work. That's why I never get to see her in the morning. Well, have a wonderful day at work, Amber. And as what I used to always hear before I went to work, you're the hottest one there and you're going to make all the money.
Yeah, that's what they said about me at my job, but it was I was working at a McDonald's. I didn't really understand what that meant. Um, you know,
That's
there was
right.
a back room and a camera with some disco lights. Anyway, I probably shouldn't talk about that though. That I think that's still part of something I'm not supposed to say.
The TOS.
How are you today, Jimmy? Everything good? You having a good time? Everything fine there? The potentially homicidal vines haven't gotten you behind you there yet.
Nope, they are
We know
being
those
relatively
trees,
nice today. Yes.
that you had behind you, those were scary, and it's just the angle, and then the thing, it just looked like this giant tree was behind you, like me
Hmm.
get you, and now it's just like, oh, we're just vines,
Yeah.
don't mind us, we're just
I'm gonna need
um
your help today though, because I got some cool colored LED strip lights, and those scary vine curtains that I have like these little shiny, like glittery things on them. And if you shine a light, it'll shine back that color. It's like a mirror glitter. So I want your help to try to figure out how to set that up today. That would be really fun.
Yes, welcome to the Home and Garden Television
That's right.
Network
Yes.
with your host, Jimmy Sunderland. Today, we're going to be making some sort of
Studio setup.
LSD trippy light scheme out of curtains. We hope you enjoy that. Um,
Fuck the news show. We're just gonna talk about us today. There's nothing good in the news anyway.
we don't provide the LSD. You have to provide that yourselves.
Of course, of course.
Sorry, that was too
BYOL
honest. Hey,
BYOLSD, right?
BYOLSD. Yeah, it's like the LSD part of that acronym kind of gives it away. So,
Right, right, right.
Lana, how are you? She says hi, you too.
Hi,
Well, hi to
Lana.
you too. To you, TOO.
Mhm.
All right, we're just being silly.
Yeah,
People didn't come here to see silly. I don't think. I think they want to see news. So,
probably.
um, I can get us started here if you like.
Go
Um,
for it.
So yeah, so all this Twitter business, Elon Musk. Yeah, I think everybody knows by now he's buying Twitter, and people are freaking out and stuff like that. Well, apparently there's some stuff going on behind the scenes too, uh, and so the staff at Twitter, I think they had initiated some sort of like lockdown on like changing anything so that the staff wouldn't like make big changes or something before Elon like officially got in there or whatever. So
Mhm.
that was something I had read about. But um, so right now, Twitter's top lawyer reassures staff, cries during meeting about the Musk takeover. So Jaya Gade, I believe. I hope I'm not butchering that name. A key executive involved in decisions to remove former President Donald Trump and ban political advertising, expressed uncertainty about the future of the platform. So that was Monday, and yesterday there was some leaked audio of the Twitter board meeting. They had a phone meeting, and they were talking about concerns they had about this takeover, and let me get to that real quick. I got that over here. This is
Yeah,
the
Project
audio.
Veritas got the audio from it, right?
Yeah, there's that. It's like they got like 45 minutes of it, and if you go to Project Veritas's YouTube channel, you can find the whole 45 seconds there. We're just gonna just do a little brief 2 minutes out of that. So of what they were saying on that call. Hopefully this goes through.
How do the board and Mr. Musk plan on dealing with a mass exodus, considering the acquisition is by a person with questionable ethics? The question of attrition, as Parag stated, one of the themes of today is continuity. And ensuring that Parag and this leadership team continues to operate the business successfully on behalf of our users, on behalf of our customers. And that has obviously been a big topic of discussion at the board. And as I mentioned, an area that is important to Elon Musk as well, because of the importance of Twitter as a service. With no board in place, who will keep Elon accountable and how? Elon made it clear in public that a large part of the reason he bought the platform was because of our moderation policies and disagreements in how we deal with health. This puts Twitter service and trust and safety, as well as anybody who cares about health on the platform, in a very difficult position.
Twitter service, the role of our policies, and the capabilities we've built around content moderation are fundamental to keeping Twitter safe and growing. I believe that there is a lot of work we have to do to continue making that better. Sometimes that means more thoughtful moderation. Sometimes that means making things simpler. Sometimes that means changing product incentives to be able to solve problems through products sometimes instead of policies.
During the last all hands, you said that you trust Elon Musk. The correct quote was, "We trust him." So who is we? And talking to Elon, what made you trust him?
And based on the conversation I had with him when we were excited to have him join our board, that was because as a major shareholder and an opinionated user, we wanted that voice in our boardroom so that we could learn.
Is there an updated understanding on what free speech means?
The question behind the question here, which is where might Twitter's product go as a private company in the future once this deal closes? To best gain perspective on this, as I said earlier, we'll find ways to bring Elon for a Q&A with all of you to understand better what his vision for the future of Twitter might look like.
So there you go. So there's obvious concerns behind the scenes. So from the outside, it started off with, so it was the announcement made that Elon was buying it, and the people on Twitter themselves, a lot of the blue checks were starting to freak out because they thought Trump was going to come back. All these people like Alex Jones and Trump, that people who had been banned from Twitter might be allowed to come back. And it seems like the people behind the scenes as well are having these concerns too. He's been pretty open. Elon Musk has been pretty open about saying that he wants to bring free speech back to Twitter. He wants to make the algorithm open source so that all the suppression that's been going on of certain accounts, shadow banning, that sort of elevating others, all that will be, according to him, will all be given sunlight, and people will be able to do that. So,
yep,
pretty interesting that they were able to get this from that audio, you know.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty funny. That video, it cut it out, but in there when he said that he wanted to bring in Elon because he was an opinionated user, like you can hear the people in the background in the longer version, they were all like snickering and giggling, like, yeah, he's an opinionated user, all right. So it was funny. It just seemed like what they were doing is the team was just freaking out, panicking that things were going to change. It seems like the Parag guy said, I'm excited about this. I think this is going to help us grow. You guys don't worry. Nothing's really going to change, and we'll have a meeting with them in the future so you guys can get some questions answered. That's all it seemed like to me.
It seems like, I
Okay.
I don't know. Trump, I don't know, Holly. Trump's so much of a narcissist, though. If he's able, he's like water. He'll go wherever there's an opening. You know what I mean? And if he's able to come back to Twitter, I'm pretty sure he'll come back to Twitter. But because Trump says one thing, but then what he does is a totally different thing. And like all these like millionaires and billionaires do the same thing. So we have no idea really what Elon's going to do with Twitter. Maybe if he does implement these things, like I said, the open source, for the algorithm, that would be great. But the old saying is, I'm from Missouri. I'll believe it when I see it, that kind of thing. And I think we have to take everything with a grain of salt till we actually see, results, you know what I mean? But
yeah, because he's just a majority shareholder. I mean, there's more shareholders than just him. And yes, he can override the votes on things, but does he really want to make enemies in a company that he just, bought into, and everybody's voting against what he says? Like, let's say he wants to bring Trump on, or he wants to make it, allowing harassment or whatever else he's allowing. Other people that are shareholders and the board themselves, they probably don't want that. It just doesn't seem like he would want to make those kinds of enemies right off the bat. Like, maybe he'll be cool with them at first and keep things going and maybe try to insinuate some kind of change,
Well, there seems to be a little bit of change, at least in his own company, regarding Tesla. So everybody's forgotten for a second that he owns Tesla too, and his actions with Twitter might actually have some sort of effect on Tesla itself. And it says
I like
here,
what Jim Young said here in the comments, though, because we were talking about it yesterday, putting the edit button in there. Oh my gosh, like thank you. And that's what I was like excited about. I'm like, please put an edit button in the post. That drives me crazy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yes, Lana, I am on Facebook under my name, Warren Dearman. So you can find me there. Or if you see Hot Stuff Sugar Pants, that's also my page too. No, I'm kidding. I'm not under Warren Dearman, just Hot Stuff Sugar Pants. Anyway, yeah, you talk about the edit button.
Yeah.
I heard interesting arguments on both sides. Like some people were saying, well, if you do an edit button, then people can't get called out on what they said in the past. There's not like an concrete record. But then people on the other side would say, well, you can edit posts on Facebook, and I think you can edit them on Instagram too, I believe. Yeah. So.
And if there was a problem with that already, then it would have shown in the analytics of Facebook and Instagram from the past of it doing it already. So it doesn't seem like it could be that. I mean, I could see the problem, and absolutely, I completely agree. But I would maybe look into the algorithms of Facebook or the analytics of Facebook and see if there is a problem with people changing their posts later on.
The way I was looking at it was that, okay, yes, you have edit buttons on, or you can edit on Facebook and Instagram, but Twitter in my view is like the dominant social media platform because it does what Facebook does, it does what LinkedIn does, it also does what Instagram does too, and it seems to be the most popular, most used social media platform. So it's kind of like held to a higher, not a higher standard or regard, but more of like it's almost to the point where like Twitter, your tweets can be used in a court of law against you, kind of thing. That's almost there. It's like almost like legal documents. I mean, they're not, but they're kind of held up in that regard as like proof of things that you did in the past. And so having the edit button may change that. My compromise was like, okay, let's have the edit button, but also let's have an option to where you can see what the original post was, right?
Okay.
So like if you're editing something, or if you edit something and like within like 30 seconds or something, like you made a typo and you want to correct the typo, that I can understand. Like if something, but if it's like something that's been on Twitter for like 5 years or something like that, and then you go in there and then just edit it, especially if you said something nefarious about somebody, like some sort of slander or something like that, I don't know about that. But I think if you had like the original post in there somehow, you could still kind of keep that, but also then you could correct mistakes or whatever too, if people wanted to see the original. And I'm not saying it would show both, but anyway, I'm not
That'd be an interesting way to
surgeon.
figure out how they can code that into the, programming of Twitter itself. That would be interesting to see how they could do that if they were interested in doing that. That would be cool. And see how
it'd be nice to
big it would get.
I think that we should definitely make all these social platforms at least make them public utilities, because it's 2022. We're using the internet for everything. I mean, I'm sorry, old and ancient people, but that's what's happening now. And we need to start treating these like the electric company, like the telephone company, that sort of thing.
Public utility. I agree.
But Tesla, Elon's old baby, I guess, is losing money because of the deal. So Tesla lost $126 billion in value on Tuesday amid investor concerns that Musk may have to sell shares to fund his $21 billion equity contribution to his $44 billion buyout of Twitter. Tesla is not involved in the Twitter deal, yet its shares have been targeted by speculators after Musk declined to disclose publicly where his cash for the acquisition is coming from. So any kind of insecurity in the market like that, money's going to be lost. People do not like it where money is. They don't like mystery when it comes to the money and their investments and that sort of thing. The 12.2% drop in Tesla shares on Tuesday equated to around $21 billion drop in the value of his Tesla stake, the same as the $21 billion in cash he committed to the Twitter deal. Wedbush Securities analyst Daniel Ives said that worries about upcoming stock sales by Musk and the possibility that he is becoming distracted by Twitter weighed on Tesla shares. This is causing a bear festival on the name, he said. And Tesla did not immediately respond to a request for comment. This coming from Reuters. Interesting, right? How this is all playing out. I never really would have figured. If you think about it, yeah, you have to figure that this deal would somehow affect Tesla, but you didn't really know how it was going to affect it. Because of the amount of cars that he's been selling through Tesla in recent years. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Yep. I think at the end too, it said he was still taking out loans too. So it's not like he doesn't have any money. He's still taking out margin loans on those stocks. So.
Right. Yeah. So this whole deal, like the changes that he's going to want to make, how he's going to make those changes. Like you said, there's other shareholders too, how they're going to figure into the mix. It's going to be interesting to see where this is gonna lead to,
Yeah. As of right now, though, I say in the next month or two, nothing's really gonna change. I don't see much of anything until the people in Twitter get a Q&A with him at least. So.
Right. Yeah. These usually once somebody takes over something like that, it's kind of a lot of times people not in the know would expect things to start happening fairly quickly, or they would want to anyway, especially like, we were talking about the edit button, maybe bringing people back from that's been kicked off of Twitter. I know that there's been a lot of people, it's just gotten ridiculous on Twitter in the last ever since the big C hit and made people's brains crazy. What's going on, Yona? Good to see you. But it's, people have been just like, even just sharing other people's sharing like mainstream media stories about what was going on during the pandemic. Those people were getting booted off of Twitter for sharing misinformation, but yet the original information by the mainstream media was allowed to stay. I mean, same thing on Facebook. It's just, and a lot of people are hoping that Elon's going to be able to change all that. But like I said, I'll believe it when I see it,
Yeah, exactly. If he can't spend a third of that money to end world hunger and buy his Twitter, I'm pretty sure he's not going to change anything for the better of us plebs.
Oh yeah, and he said he likes coups too. He likes cooing leaders and countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you coo ka-choo.
Coo.
Apparently he's a Beatles fan too.
Yes.
What happened? No, I'm sorry. I'm that's totally misinformation. I'm sorry.
We're talking about COVID and you're like, that's misinformation about him liking the Beatles.
This is a great time for the technical difficulty slate to go up. The technical difficulties, please stand by. Do you want to do the Harvard story? Or you want me to do it?
No, go for it, please. Oh, I'm charged.
Lazy youth. I gotta do everything. No, I'm kidding. Anyway,
I love you.
Jimmy's like, "Nah, you do you, boo." So, you do you, boo. All right there. I don't know what that was.
Oh yeah,
Harvard.
Okay. That's right.
Harvard has released a report detailing its ties to slavery and plans to issue reparations. So reparations has been in the news more so in the last few years than it has been before everything was going down. When you had the Black Lives Matter protests going on, people were talking about reparations for everybody. But this is in particular to the goings on at Harvard University and how they're involved in this. So like we said, Harvard released a report detailing the school's involvement in the U.S. slave trade. That includes faculty and staff owning slaves and professors teaching racial eugenics. So in 2019, Harvard president Lawrence Bacow formed a committee that included representatives from all the schools on campus and asked them to uncover Harvard's ties to slavery. The committee's work should, quote, have a strong grounding in rigorous research and critical perspectives that will inform not only our understanding of facts, but also how we might address the ramifications of what we learn, he said at the time. Now, the committee found that Harvard faculty and staff enslaved 70 people from the school's founding in 1636 to the banning of slavery in Massachusetts in 1783. So roughly around 150 years there, Harvard was involved in that. Some of those who were enslaved lived on campus and were responsible for providing care for Harvard's presidents, professors, and students. And additionally, the report discovered many of the university's donors profited directly from the slave trade in the 17th, 18th, and 19th century. But now the school is making plans to administer some form of reparations. And looking at this, this might be, depending on how they do it, and we'll get into that in a second, depending on how they do this, this might be, if it's done correctly and is accepted by everyone who's involved, who wants to get reparations, nationwide and globally too, for that matter, this might be some sort of blueprint if it's done correctly. Harvard outlined several next steps it said it would take in an attempt to atone for its involvement in the slave trade, including monetary reparations for Black and Indigenous students who are descendants of enslaved persons in the U.S. The profound harm caused by the university's entanglements with slavery and its legacies cannot be valued in monetary terms alone. Nevertheless, that's what the study says. Nevertheless, financial expenditures are a necessary predicate to and foundation for redress. The legacy of slavery fund will be kept in an endowment strategically invested to support implementation of these recommendations. Harvard also plans to further partner with historically Black colleges and universities through initiatives such as appointing visiting HBCU professors to Harvard for 1 year and subsidizing summer, semester, or year-long studies at Harvard for HBCU students. The school said it's working to identify Black and Indigenous students who are direct descendants of people enslaved in the U.S. The recommendations will be evaluated through annual reports. So, that's it. I think that the questions here, how they're going to be doing reparations, have also come up through other discussions throughout the country as far as like reparations are concerned.
Yeah, and it's good at least this college is doing something about it. I mean, we'll see, but well, at least they're at least talking about it, you know, especially with all like the fear mongering of people with the CRT and all of that. Like, you know, if we didn't know actual history, we probably would have never known that Harvard has probably been living these hundreds of years without letting people know about this, and we're just now learning. So if anything, like this is that turn on those conservatives that are like, oh, CRT and people need to learn the other way. Like, no, we've learned the white way pretty long enough. Like let's learn what happened to these slaves that were in Harvard now. Let's hear about them. Let's help them out now. So it's cool. I like it.
I'm personally I'm totally in favor of reparations, and I want to make sure that everybody who has who are their families, their generations of Black wealth have been erased because of slavery, and my concerns are in the particulars of all this. And as far as like, how are they going to do this? I would assume on Harvard's part, there's going to be some sort of means testing to this, which when you start doing means testing, that's when you start pissing off a lot of people. You know, we saw means testing during the pandemic, which was ridiculous. Like, just, you don't, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're not really keeping your eye on the big picture. And that's the same thing. There's not an eye on the big picture when it comes to reparations too. So I have a lot of concerns about, Harvard. I mean, yes, this is positive steps. It's just like, yeah, you're saying this now how are you going to do it? That kind of thing, you know? So that's another thing we'll have to keep an eye on to see. And like I said, if they're able to implement a system of getting descendants reparations that people who have fought for are cool with, if they're, you know, if they say, okay, we like what you're doing here, and now we can implement this on a nationwide scale, and then eventually globally, because it's not just American slaves. I mean, their slavery has been done around the world, and if America implements it, and basically if Harvard implements it, then America is eventually the whole country's gonna implement it, and then eventually the whole world. So you may be seeing a shift of economic power based on, depending on how much reparations are going to be, who's going to get it, how many people's going to get it, that sort of thing. It's good to be positive about it, but you know, let's keep an eye on it and see what they do.
I know, and I hope that they do it, because I think that the Catholic religion needs a nice little slap in the face of what they did to have been doing for hundreds of years to indigenous children too. So, and they haven't help pay back anything or help fixed anything like that. So, I think that'd be a nice little slap in the face to them too if Harvard did this. So, please, Harvard, if you're listening, probably not, but
They might be. You never know.
you never know.
They have eyes and ears everywhere.
Yeah, it is Harvard.
Yeah. So, well, they are like the Ivy League school. So
Exactly. Always
yeah, that was terrible.
watching.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
You don't want me to fall
I
for
say
that
some-
joke this time? You're like, that one sucked. Screw it. Don't laugh at me, Jimmy.
As they say in comedy, they're not all gems. So
They're not, no.
yeah, some of them's pyrite, some of them's fool's gold. So
Fool's gold.
we got more news. We have actually two stories about Russia. There's a prisoner swap, and also Russia is cutting off gas to Poland and Bulgaria. Which one do you want to do first, Jamie?
Let's do gas.
Gas?
Yep.
You got
got
gas?
gas?
I'm sorry.
Oh, get out of my head.
Get out of my head, man. What is wrong with you? I think I have some Tums around here or something. So anyway, Russia says you're not going to pay in rubles, Poland and Bulgaria, then no soup for you. In this case, soup would be gas. So
I look at it as like Russia's pretty much just taking back control of their own oil production and pricing, because I think what it was is they were buying it in US dollars. So now Russia's like, no, we're doing it in rubles now, and they don't want to do it. They actually, even Bulgaria and Poland said they're never going to buy gas from them again. So I think it's just Russia making a power move right now, kind of like how we have the petrodollar, and they're trying to probably make, the petro ruble, which is, they're more than welcome to do that. We've forced other countries to buy other countries' gas in the US dollar. If Russia wants to make people pay in rubles with their own gas, that's their right.
Yeah, and with these economic sanctions being put on Russia too, they're doing what they got to do, and what initially these sanctions were to crush Russia, to crush the ruble, and none of that's come to pass. The only thing these sanctions have done is hurt us.
Yep. Here
in America, gas prices, food prices. Everything has skyrocketed since this whole thing began, and it's just really just blown up in our faces. Mm-hmm. So they said they're going to be cutting off gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria as of today. That's according to a report by Bloomberg. They had previously threatened to cease gas supplies to any country that refuses Putin's stipulation that countries pay for Russia's gas in rubles, but the European Union has insisted that in doing so, sanctions on Russia would be breached. So that's the rub there. It's okay, you want the gas, you got to pay in rubles, but then the European Union I think the European Union wants to do it, but they don't want to go against the United States, who has put these, and I think some European countries have put sanctions on Russia as well. So it's kind of a, what do you want? How bad do you need the gas? Right. So, and to complicate things, Poland and Bulgaria are both members of the European Union, and the decision to cut off their gas is a major escalation. They're also both members of NATO too. And Poland's been the main country housing refugees from neighboring Ukraine. The warnings that gas would soon be cut off came from two different suppliers, PG&IG and Gazprom. And when they asked the United States about it, Press Secretary Jen Psaki told reporters yesterday, the administration had been working for several months to increase natural gas supply and options for countries in Europe in anticipation of Russia potentially cutting off gas supplies to European nations. So they may have to tighten their belts over there till they get this some sort of alternative gas stream to go into those countries. Because I believe those countries were primarily using Russian gas
Yes.
before this whole conflict started. So, yeah, so that's a little development there. But there's actually some good news coming out of this Russia situation. Did you want to do this one about the thing? I mean, I can do it.
Sure.
If you'd like.
No. I'm not spoiled.
It's fine.
So an American ex-Marine named Trevor Reed, he was released from a Russian prison swap. I believe it was either yesterday, or I think it was yesterday or this morning. Somebody was talking to the parents this morning. They said that he probably has made it back to America right now, but they're not allowed to know. So what happened was they did a swap in Turkey, which was really cool. I guess they had like the two planes in Turkey land, and then like they had the two prisoners walk across and pass each other onto the planes. It was really, really cool to hear about that. Okay, so almost 2 years after he was sentenced to 9 years in a Russia prison, former Marine Trevor Reed was released on Wednesday. Oh, I guess, yeah, that was yesterday, in a prisoner swap. The family said that they've been living in a nightmare. Their prayers have been answered, and Trevor is on his way back safely to the United States. Reed is a Texas native, and he was arrested in 2019 for allegedly assaulting a police officer after getting drunk at a party while visiting his girlfriend in Moscow. He was convicted of intentionally endangering the lives and health of the police officers and sentenced in July of 2020. And I think the other guy, the Russian person that was arrested here in America, got caught smuggling cocaine over the border. I think that's what his arrest was. But Reed and his family have denied any wrongdoing, and the former Marine had reportedly been failing health behind bars as he approached his 1,000th day in custody. I guess he got COVID last year, and they were also saying that he might have contracted tuberculosis while he was in prison. They said he was coughing up blood a little bit, but so the ambulance and stuff was taking care of him on the airplane ride. So they're going to figure out within the next couple of days how his health is doing. Today, we welcome home Trevor Reed and celebrate his return to the family that missed him dearly. Biden said in a statement, Trevor, a former Marine, is free from Russia detention. I've heard the voices of his parents, how much they worried about his health and missed his presence, and I was delighted to be able to share with them the good news about his freedom. I guess while they were on the phone with their son, President Biden had actually given them a personal phone call and to give him, like, let him know the information that, he was on the plane and he's on his way home and stuff like that. So the parents are in talks with the government this morning, and they're going to get their son back today. So
yeah, hopefully, I mean, that's kind of the bright side of this conflict that's going in there. There's being more attention being paid to prisoners on both sides. So hopefully, if there's more prisoners, American and Russian, that they'll be able to cooperate, even with all the rhetoric that's going on against Russia right now in the United States, and like we said, the sanctions and all that's going on. It's good to see that we're still able to work with Russia to bring Americans home. And I hope that it's just good to see that stuff happening. So
yep. It just goes to show you, like, the governments of all the countries are all in their own little, like, war bubble, while we're all just out here living our lives. Like, what the hell are you guys doing in your war bubbles?
Right. It's not everything is like the movies where it's like, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys, or on their side, they're the good guys and we're the bad guys, kind of thing. There's all kinds of nuance going on as well. and not everything is cut and dried. So,
Yep.
now, just want to briefly talk about this. So Derek Chauvin is appealing his murder conviction in the death of George Floyd, and that was to be expected. So here's just some of the details. So now it's just official that it's happened. So he filed an 82-page appeal listing over a dozen aspects of the case he and his lawyer said tainted last year's trial. The former Minneapolis police officer was convicted of murdering George Floyd, filed his appeal. That lists more than a dozen aspects of the case that he and his attorney argue were messed up the proceedings. Among them are the extensive pretrial publicity and protests outside of the courthouse, as well as the announcement of the city's $27 million settlement with the Floyd family, which came during jury selection. In the appeal, Chauvin and his attorney, William F. Mormon, are also asking the State Court of Appeals to review whether the venue for the trial should have been changed, if the jury should have been sequestered, as well as if the trial should have been delayed due to widespread protests and extensive coverage by the media. Additional accusations include prosecutorial misconduct and failure to properly disclose discovery information. The appeal is seeking to have Chauvin's April 2021 conviction overturned or a new trial in a different venue. Chauvin and Mormon claimed that the proceedings were so pervaded by error, misconduct, and prejudice that they were structurally defective. Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison. Chauvin asserts that even if his sentence is upheld, it should be reduced within the state's sentencing guidelines for second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter, which is 10 years and 8 months to 15 years. So that's just like pretty much everybody knows the George Floyd case. Not really just going to rehash it, but we wanted to at least give an update for people who may still be, following what's going on. And like I said, these appeals are expected. People are just not gonna just take that sentencing and just deal with it. So, this is another thing we'll have to keep an eye on. So I'm pretty sure it's only April, so we'll see how this goes. If this actually holds water, we'll see if there's going to be a new trial or what they're going to do with it.
Right. And it just seems like he's doing it now because the court of public opinion isn't paying attention to him anymore, which is kind of smart on his side to do it while nobody's paying attention. So whatever.
A lot of distractions going on these days. Billionaires buying social media stuff, wars. Yeah, it's a good time to slip stuff under the radar. But, people who are still paying attention to not only this, but all the injustices that are going on with cop murders. A few weeks ago, we were talking about those numbers. Like even in 2022, they were averaging 3 cop shootings and killings a day on average, which is just ridiculous. So I think Chauvin and his lawyer may think they might be able to fly under the radar with this, but those protesters haven't gone away. I think they're still keeping an eye on things. And if like I said, if this does kind of start taking off and actually has some meat to it, then you're going to see those protesters right back out there again. So, and we've reached that turning point. Like we're not taking this stuff anymore. There's not a lot we can do about it electorally.
Sorry.
No. I was just saying there's not much we can do about it electorally, but we can still hit the streets. It seems like there's no hope in the electoral process, but us hitting the streets, that does at least shine some light on what they're trying to do. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
We shall see. How are we doing here? 10 minutes? What happened?
You're so serious.
Me?
Mm-hmm.
Wearing my Pluto shirt. Never forget.
That's right. Never forget. Oh, because it's not a planet.
Stupid Neil deGrasse Tyson. It's a dwarf planet. It's not like a real planet. I mean, technically, he's got a point.
I'm a dwarf person. Does that make me not a human?
Right? Actually, they say Pluto. There's like planets. There's like dwarf planets that are actually bigger than Pluto. But Pluto's been around forever, and you're just gonna take them away. You know, that's like I've been going to this club for years. It's like, well, sorry, sir. You actually technically don't meet the requirements to be in this club. But it's like, look, dude, I've been here since like 1900s. You jerks.
Right. That's right.
Anyway, well, speaking of how about this for a segue? There's a rock about to hit us. I knew we was going to go to the light bulbs and the disaster thing, but I want to talk about this this asteroid that it's not gonna. They don't think it's going to hit us, but it's going to come real close. Enough to
don't look
enough
up,
to
everyone.
Enough to make you poop yourself. You know, and who doesn't like pooping themselves?
Scary picture of it too.
I know, right? So a quote, a potentially hazardous unquote asteroid twice the size of the Empire State Building will skim past Earth tomorrow. That's what NASA says. A gigantic, potentially hazardous asteroid is set to zoom past Earth tomorrow. The asteroid name 418135 2008 AG33. That's a
AKA Elon Musk's child. Sorry.
Musk child. I was gonna say all those numbers are pretty ominous to name it. Because I'm not really good at math, but anyway, it has an estimated diameter between 1,150 and 2,560 feet. That's almost 2,560. That's like close to half a mile, yo. And will break into Earth's orbit at a blistering 23,300 miles per hour. Thankfully, the asteroid is expected to skim past our planet without any risk of impact. At its closest point, the asteroid, traveling at more than 30 times the speed of sound, will come within about 2 million miles of Earth. And you're like, well, that's not close, but on a galactic scale, it's pretty close. It's roughly 8 times the average distance between Earth and the moon. This may sound like a big gap, but by cosmic standards, it's a stone's throw away. So it's like
because if it got any closer, it could pull into our gravitational pull, and then that's when it would get serious. It's the gravitational pull that you don't see that we have to worry about.
And then it could mess with the moon, and it'd be like that movie you like, Moonfall.
The moon movie.
The moon movie. You called it the moon movie?
Yes.
The moon movie, you remember? That's like trying to describe a movie to a friend of yours, but you can't really, you don't remember the name, but you know that has like some big thing in it. Yeah, remember that dude with the sword? Yeah, it was that movie. Like what? What are you talking about?
The guy with the eyes and the mouth, you know?
Yeah, he said some stuff. Oh yeah, that one. So NASA flags any space object that comes within 120 million miles of Earth as a near-Earth object. Just to put into relevance, the sun is roughly 93 million miles away from us. So if you want to think of it in those terms. And any fast-moving object within 4.65 million miles is potentially hazardous. So, and what did they say this one? It was come within like 2 million miles.
23.
And yeah, that's
I don't know.
Right. It says stone's throw, but space is weird, right? So I was talking to my buddy Robert, who's a physicist. We did a show on Extra Bulla a few weeks back about all the cool science stuff and stuff in space, and we were talking about like gravity and how so the sun affects all the planets, obviously, because the planets rotate around they revolve around the sun because they're in the sun's gravitational pull. But then you have larger planets like Jupiter and Saturn, which also affects other planets too. So when this thing's coming through, like they use math and physics to calculate its path, and they figure in uh, gravity and all that. So that's why they're saying it's potentially hazardous, being that close, because you never know what gravity is going to actually do. Because all they could do is make theories about it, but they don't know for sure until it actually happens. So I'm not saying that things going to hit us. I'm not trying to be that guy, even though I am team meteor. But that's for other reasons. Yeah, so we just it's always good to keep an eye on these things. They discovered it.
This is what it's reminding me of. Don't look up.
Right. They first discovered it in 2008 at the Mount Lemmon Sky Center Observatory in Arizona, and it last zipped past Earth on March 1st, 2015, about 7 years ago. A little over, I guess. The asteroid swings by our planet roughly every 7 years, with the next close flyby predicted to come on May 25th, 2029. So, okay.
So it's already in a pool. If it's going around in circles, it's already in a pool somewhere.
Like a swimming pool?
No, like a gravitational pull of some kind, because if it was just a regular asteroid, it would just keep going straight. But if it's coming back every 7 years, then it's in a rotation somewhere.
I thought you said pool, so I had this vision of this big giant rock in a swimming pool with like a towel around its neck, and that's sunglasses and maybe drinking a drink with an umbrella in it. But 2029 is an interesting year too, because there's another space rock that's going to be coming through. It's called Apophis, Apophis. You kids who are playing the home game want to look that up. So the thing about Apophis, this is another thing. Lana's making fun of you.
I see that, big Lana.
Well, she says eggs too instead of eggs. So anyway,
well, you know what? It's really funny is that when I think about outer space, I think about a swimming pool anyway, because out there you can't breathe air like us. Like everything is, like attached, even though it's black matter, it's attached to, the actual like planets and the sun and stuff. So if you think about it, you throw a bunch of, different sized balls in a pool, it's pretty much like being in space. So you start spinning that ball. If there's any other balls inside the swimming pool that's close to that spinning ball, it's going to come in and start gravitate, pulling into it. The swimming pool reminds me of space anyway. So
actually, that's a pretty good theory, hypothesis too, because I've often thought that space is like a form of liquidity like that, where you have objects influencing other objects with their motions. There's the hypothesis of the electric universe, how it's just things are run, like everything has to do with electricity. It's just fascinating stuff. And I brought up Apophis because that's coming towards us in 2029 too. And this is another thing I was talking to Robert about. So when it comes to Earth, it's going to come relatively close, but it's not going to hit the Earth. But we were talking about there's a gravitational keyhole they were talking about that, like I said, gravity of the planets kind of affect the other planets as well, but they also affect these like asteroids and stuff like that, especially ones that are in rotation around the sun. So if this Apophis hits this keyhole at a certain angle, a certain place within this gravitational area, it's going to come around again in let's see, 2029 is the first time, and then the next time I think it's supposed to come around every 7 years too. So I think in 2036 it might hit the earth. So,
Ooh,
you know,
don't
that's
look
some
up.
scary stuff. I know, right? Ending the show on a happy thought of like you may only have 14 years left to live on the planet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Team
You
Meteor
know,
and Team Volcano people will be happy. So.
yeah, you know, you're welcome. I mean, yeah, that could be good news to the people out there. So, yeah. So,
All right, we are going
I
to
mean,
build a spaceship and we're going to go to Mars. Let's go.
or maybe we could just hop in the moon from that moon movie you like, and then we just take off, baby.
Let's
Like
take
you're
the
getting in
whole
a big,
goddamn moon and go somewhere.
like you're getting in a big VW van, you know,
Yeah.
or you know, like an RV, and you're going across country and listening to Willie
Yeah.
Nelson.
Could you imagine the moon doing that though? Like all of a sudden you turn on the moon and the moon's like, and it starts spinning and you just start chugging along with a spinning moon in space.
You got like fuzzy dice hanging from the rearview mirror. You know, you're playing some Grateful Dead music as you're going along. What a strange trip it has been.
Oh my God, absolutely. That'd be great.
Space Hippies, the movie.
That's right.
Thanks everybody for watching the Newsies today. I hope you learned something. I didn't.
No.
I just pretended that I
forgot
did.
everything already. What were we talking about?
You stoner, you're the worst. But you're the best. You're like a personified paradox. That's what I love about you. You know, you're just always keeping people guessing, you and your Doctor Who mug.
That's right.
I said we should write a screenplay. What about the hippie moon bus?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it, okay. Don't steal. Hey, you don't steal our ideas, all right? You know,
it's gonna be like Spaceballs, but better.
Yeah, it would just be like one giant space ball.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. One giant space ball.
He could be the prequel to Spaceballs and just call it Space Ball.
Exactly.
You know, so, money please for this idea. Thank you so much, everybody. Lana, we love you. Yes. Robert K, Go Start. Dingo showed up. Good to see you. Who else we got in the mix? Holly and Yona and Jim and Dolores and Amber Lee and Daniel. I think I got everybody. Maybe. Everybody. Did I? Yeah, I think I did. Kay, thanks, y'all. So I'm putting you on the spot again. Jimmy, what you got coming up?
I always forget to do this.
You never do homework. You never do homework. And then it's test time and you're like,
I'm cheating. I'm pulling out my phone. Hold on. Today it's Thursday.
All right, well, while you're looking that up, I'll tell you what I got going on. So tomorrow night is huge night for my show Extra Bola, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're doing another Women in Independent Media Night. Jimi and Noli D and my buddy Bess Godin, they were on the first one. We had a blast. It was great talking about all the accomplishments that women are doing in independent media in the space and how their efforts are necessary. And tomorrow night, I have Lucy from Blue Moon Red Wine. She's going to be there. Glory Jones from Mi Casa Su Casa. She's going to be there. Lainey Peterson from Hard Lens Media and 99 Perspectives. She's going to be on the panel, and I'm pretty sure Tara Reid is going to be joining us as well. I've reached out to Steph Zamorano. I'm not quite sure if she's going to be able to make it, but I reached out to her. Hopefully she'll let me know if she's going to come on or not. But it's going to be a huge power panel. Looking forward to it. And I love hosting these things because I always like to get women's perspectives, particularly on independent media. I grew up with strong women. I know the power of women, and I always want to uplift them as much as possible. So we're gonna talk about the origin stories, but we'll also have some fun too. And I'm pretty sure Lainey might be a little sauce too. She's a bit of a wino. She likes her vino.
Yeah, I know. She always puts
so that
wine glasses as little emotes in the comment section. She's so cute.
I don't hate. I actually encourage that
Wine
kind of
o'clock.
activity. So,
That's right.
you know, I think she's awesome. So that's going on tomorrow night, and of course my brothers and sisters in the Independent News Network got stuff going on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe, all over the place. So share, subscribe to this program, to all our other brothers and sisters out there. We all need the help and the exposure. So are you prepared now, Jimmy, to give your statement?
Yeah, a little bit. So we've got Cup of Joe today. Don't forget that. He's on every Wednesday. Thank you for reminding me, Lana, that it's Wednesday, because I was looking at the calendar on Thursday for some reason. I do not know why. And tomorrow, I think we're going to be having Dump the Incumbents. Joe Firestone is going to be taking care of the news tomorrow. And I believe on Friday, Shane is going to be coming back for the Friday news. With his co-host. He has a different one every week, so I don't know which one he is, but we'll definitely let you guys all know. And then it doesn't look like we're having anything this weekend up until, starting next week again, where we got our Tuesdays all over again. So yeah.
Right on. And it's good to see all these independent networks.
Yes. Go check out INN.
Content.
You guys go subscribe to Political Matrix, Reef, Breland. There's tons of us. Sabby Sabs is another big one that definitely needs some help getting her name out there. She is doing so well, and it seems like, a lot, even her and including a lot of other people, were kind of at a standstill. Yona has his own YouTube channel, and he does amazing stuff. He sits there and plays the piano and sings. Like, I would have never. Holy crap, like Yona is so talented. Jesse Jet, anybody that on Twitter, like, look for them on YouTube and subscribe, because we're all here for each other. We're all depending on each other. We're all looking out for each other. So it's the least that we could all do for each other. So
speaking of, before we go, I do want to also, you mentioned Jesse Jet. He's starting his own show on INN. I believe it's going to be coming up this Tuesday night, about 6 days, and it's going to be a blast. I'm really excited for Jesse. Jesse just joined INN not too long ago, and Jesse's just a treasure. He's a great musician. He's a great writer, and he's funny as hell too. He is just like. He's crazier, as a friend of mine used to say. He's crazier than a tree full of fucked owls. So, but he's good time crazy.
Though. He's very talented. I've never seen stanzas like that in a really long time. It's very unique.
Yeah, he's just one of many talented people that's in this space. So like I always say, go tell your peeps that aren't in the know about what's going on here in independent media. Tell them that there's alternatives to the mainstream media. We can keep you informed. We can keep you entertained, and we won't have to suck your soul out like a succubus or an incubus. Unless you pay extra.
Yeah.
So, but that's
then we'll be obliged.
That's no checks. We don't take checks. So I guess that's it. Are we done?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. We'll see y'all next week. Have fun. Happy hump day.
Happy hump
Word
day.
to the mother. Peace.